Welcome back to another episode of Wickens Wicked Reptiles. On this Monday's episode, I want to introduce you to all the pets that I have. Everything that I have in my entire house. Stick around. Oftentimes I'm asked, Adam, how many animals do you have in this zoo that you call a house? And to be honest, a lot of the times I have to think about it. So today I want to introduce you to everything that I have, all of my animals, and let's take a little tour around the reptile room first. And I could think of no better co-host than my main man, Cheech here. Of all the animals that I currently have, Cheech has been with me the longest. I got Cheech on, I believe it was April 12th, 2011. So, of all the animals that I have, this guy's been with me the longest amount of time. So let's go ahead and let's start around the reptile room. The first reptile in my collection I want to introduce you to is Jolene. Jolene is an adult leopard gecko. I got her alongside Jerry. A few weeks ago we did a video about it. It was the 100th subscriber special video we did a few weeks back. She lives in an Exoterra front opening. I'm not sure exact dimensions, 18 by 18 by 18 I think. And she's got a couple of hides in here. She's got some live plants. And it's an EcoWorth sand mixture that she's on. She is a fantastic looking gecko. So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next batch of leopard geckos. These girls here are actually the offspring of Cheech here on my shoulder. These girls are siblings. They came from the exact same clutch. These are the first leopard geckos that I ever produced myself a few years back. They're great. They live in a little bit longer Exoterra enclosure, a little bit similar to the one that Jolene was in that you saw 2 seconds ago there. Now these girls are full grown. They started eating a little bit later for whatever reason. The only leopard geckos I ever had that didn't eat immediately, and that's why I decided to keep these ones. They're a little bit smaller. They probably can't ever breed, but they're beautiful. They're very tame. They're interesting to look at, and just look at how darn cute they are. Now these two enclosures are on basically 2 TV stands. I'm looking at reconfiguring the reptile room in the summer, so we're going to do a video about that. But for now, they're just on 2 TV stands, and we've got a little bit taller Exoterra enclosure in the middle. It's broken. I'm going to get rid of it and replace it with something that's not broken, and we're going to put something inside of that one as well. Now, moving along the reptile room, we've got a larger rack. Now, this rack is kind of interesting. I made this one to be able to accommodate either 18-quart tubs or 41-quart tubs. So basically you can have 3 18s in a row or 1 41-quart. And the reason I made this is because I used to have a lot of ball pythons where now I only have 2. The first one here is Medusa. Medusa is a het albino, full-grown adult female. She has produced some babies before. I haven't been able to get her to breed since I've had her, but I've got a mate for her as well, Pikachu, which we're going to go on to next. Medusa is a great female. She's very placid, easy to handle. If you can't tell, she spilled her water bowl here, which is why it looks a little bit wet in there. But she's just eating. I'm not going to take her out. This is Medusa, the full-grown ball python. Now, he's not next in line, but we're going to do Cheech next. Cheech, I'm going to put him away because I'm going to try to get one of the snakes out for you. This is the oldest reptile in my collection. I got Cheech, I think I was 19 years old. Very fantastic animal. He's been with me through a lot. Moved every house I've ever lived in, basically. And this is the male that I breed several females with. He's a great gecko. I can't say enough things about him. He's big and fat. He's got a nice fat tail, if you can't tell. And he's kind of holding on to me like, I don't know, like some sort of Pokemon looking thing. He's moving his head like a chicken too. This is Cheech, the adult leopard gecko. Pretty good looking for a 9-year-old. This is Pikachu. Pikachu is a full-grown adult ball python. He is an albino, which means that he's lacking basically all pigment. He's got a girlfriend, which we showed you 2 seconds ago here. He's a very good boy. He's very fun to handle. He's kind of shy, though, which is why he's in my shirt right now, which is why he's not in the view of the camera. He's the one that I'm trying to breed with Medusa. I haven't had very much success with this ball python. I used to breed ball pythons in the past and had success. I just found it was too much work, and I'm more into enjoying animals than breeding them. I'm only looking to breed the ones that I think I can improve the line, or just enough that I can make enough money to support the hobby, and it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to do what I love to do. I think Pikachu is about 5 years old. He's been very placid his entire life. He doesn't really go off food very much. He'll eat frozen thawed, and he lives in a tub, just like Medusa. I'm looking to reorganize the reptile room, kind of like I mentioned before. And one of the things that I want to do is build enclosures that are for the ball pythons. I don't want to have them in tubs anymore. I think that displaying animals like this, it's almost a sin not to, because they're so good looking. So with these guys, they're going to end up going in their own enclosures, which are going to be very similar to the ones I'm going to show you near the end of the reptile room. Now let's move on to the lion's share of the leopard geckos. Now leopard geckos are one of my favorite species to keep. This here is Millie. Millie and Cheech have had several babies, including the ones that I showed you earlier. Now, I didn't say their names. The two in the enclosure that are together, these ones are Sarah and Littlefoot. Yes, they are named after the land before time. And they actually have another sibling named Ducky, which my sister has as well. Now, Millie here, she is, I believe, 4 years old. Fantastic specimen. I guess I can look at the year that she was born. 2015. 4 years old. And she's produced several eggs in her lifetime. There's some in the incubator right now that are going to be hatching very shortly. One of my favorite leopard geckos, and of course, very beautiful as well, as you can see. Now this is MC Flurry. The name is a little bit tough to explain. If you're Canadian and you watch the Trailer Park Boys, you know where this name comes from. MC Flurry is, she's got a very unique gene. It's called Eclipse, and it means that her eye looks very different. You're going to see it right here. It's a very interesting morph, and the reason that I got her is because I think that looking at your animals is part of the fun, and handling them as well. Not only is she docile, but she looks beautiful as well, and she lives along with all the other leopard geckos that I have in the tub system, in the rack system, in a 28-quart sterilite. They've got a food bowl, they've got water available to them, and they have a hide that's filled with coconut core and that I mist down at least once a day, maybe twice a day, to make sure that they have no shedding problems. And of course, if they're gravid, then they can lay their eggs. MC Flurry has been having a little bit of issues putting on some weight. We've talked about that in previous videos. So I haven't been able to breed her this year, but I mean, just looking at her is half the fun anyway. The next animal here, this is Honey. You'll notice I don't have her on my shoulder because she is extremely skittish right now because she's extremely gravid. She's going to lay eggs either today or maybe tomorrow. She's already started digging a spot inside of her hide, which has the egg-laying medium inside of it. This is Honey, a Bell albino. She is also 2015, which means that she is also 4 years old. This is the last of my adult leopard geckos. He doesn't want to go on my shirt. This is Jerry. Jerry and Jolene came together from the same place. Very fantastic owners. I love taking animals in that aren't sick or neglected. The owners just didn't want to have leopard geckos anymore, so immediately, as soon as they figured that out, they got rid of them. And that's what you should do. Waiting until you're sick of them and your animals are in bad health because you've been neglecting them, not the way to go. Anyway, Jerry, when I got him, the owner told me that he was a little bit cantankerous, which is weird for a leopard gecko. It turns out that he's nothing but a sweetheart. He's got a very interesting, like, very wedge-shaped shovel face. I've never seen a leopard gecko with that shape before. I have no idea what the morph is, but I just got him because I thought he was very good-looking. And, I mean, to rescue an animal that's already healthy and give it a good home, that's what this is all about. Now, of course, I have no idea how old Jerry is, or Jolene, but I would like to eventually have him in an enclosure where you can view him as well, more of a display piece than anything else. For now, he also lives in the rack system where I keep all my leopard geckos. And one of the more requested animals to do a video about, these guys here are the baby leopard geckos that hatched a few weeks ago. These were the first ones to hatch for the entire year. These are the offspring of Cheech and also Millie. They were born on the 10th of April, so what is it today? Well, we're almost in May. So a few weeks ago, these guys are interesting. They have their own personalities already. One of them is just skittish, and she'll just kind of run away from you until you catch her. The other one screams and tries to bite your finger, which is the most hilarious thing about baby leopard geckos. So these guys don't have names yet. Maybe we'll do a name contest in a few weeks. We'll see if I'm going to keep them. But these are the baby leopard geckos who have no names. Moving on to the rack that's right behind me here. This is where I keep some of the snakes. The first one here, this is Nicky. Nicky is a full-grown male western hognose snake. It is potentially albino, but what you can tell, it's very obvious, is that he is an anaconda morph. Now, this was sold to me as a female, ended up being a male, which Normally you don't want. That'd be very upsetting for most people, but because he's heterozygous, he's het for albino, and I have a full-grown albino female, we might be able to put together some really interesting clutches. He eats great. He was a little bit slow to start eating, as were all the hognose snakes I got from the same breeder. This is a fantastic animal, very interesting to look at. Another one that I want to create more of an enclosure where you can actually look at this animal rather than hiding him in a tub. He's just too gorgeous not to look at. Our next animal is the Anery corn snake. This is the newest addition to my collection. We did a little bit of a name contest a few weeks ago to figure out a name for this female corn snake. It ends up that her name is Maisie, because maize is corn snake. It was a dad who picked that name. Anyway, this is a full-grown corn snake, I think, or maybe slightly less than full-grown. I have no idea how old she is. The guy that I got her from, it was given to him, so he didn't really know as well. Knew that it was a little bit smaller, so probably not a full-grown adult. She's eating rat pups. She eats very well. She's also in a 28-quart tub. Another one that I wish I had all the room in the world for display pieces, because this is a very good-looking snake. And the reason I don't have her out is she's a little bit cantankerous, wiggles her tail like a rattlesnake, and just is not interested in being handled. But that's something that we're going to work on, and we're going to get her over that fear of being handled. This gentleman here, this is Arbok. Arbok, as you can see, is in blue. He's about to shed. It's a full-grown male western hognose snake. He's potentially heterozygous for albino, which is why I put him with my other albino female. So hopefully we're going to get some eggs later on in the year. This is a great snake. This guy here is a 2013, so he's 6 years old. He's we don't really know exactly how long hognose live, but maybe halfway through his life. He's a little bit cantankerous too. He likes to strike at the camera. We've done other videos with him as well. But overall, a great snake, very healthy, right on weight, and hopefully he's going to be a father this year. In this one here, this is Wickens, potentially the most interesting looking, or maybe the best looking adult female snake that I have. This is one that's very interesting to me because I like albino morphs in all snakes, but Wickens is a little bit special to me. She's the one that I got from a very baby. She weighed like a few grams, 12 grams or something like that when I got her. And now she's big. She's over 300 grams. And this is her first season. Hopefully we're going to get some eggs out of her. Just a beautiful snake. I can't say enough good things. And we've really calmed her down. She's handleable now. She's a little bit nippy sometimes. She's very, just because she thinks that she's being fed all the time. But overall, a fantastic snake. Now these enclosures I love. They're a little bit big. They take up a lot of room. My dad and I built these in 2016. And we built them initially for bearded dragons. Now my bearded dragons have both died of old age now, so they're being repurposed. In the top one here, we've got Franny. Franny is a beautiful boa constrictor. She's a little bit cantankerous also. She's handleable, but she had a big meal yesterday. I don't want to pick her up, take her out. She's cantankerous for two reasons only. When she's shedding, stay away from her. She will smash her face against the glass trying to get to you because she's blind. And also when she's being fed. If she smells a rat anywhere near you, that is it. She is biting everything except for the rat, including the glass in her enclosures and her water bowl. Raycharles the Snake, I like to call her, the worst aim in the world, as if she has no vision at all. This animal I got from a friend of mine who moved in with his girlfriend. Girlfriend didn't like snakes. That was the condition. So he gave the snake to me. And when I got her, she was a little bit smaller. She's put on a few 100 grams since I got her about a year ago. But fantastic snake. I'm glad that I have a boa constrictor. And she is going to stay in this 4 foot by 1.5 by 2 foot enclosure until she outgrows it. And then we're going to build something a little bit bigger for her because I don't think I want to get rid of this snake. I like this one. And to round off the reptile room, this seems to be the favorite of several people in the comment section. My girlfriend loves this animal. Not handleable at all. He thinks that everything is food, including your fingers, your thumbs, and your shirt. This is Bob Lacerta. He's full grown. He's got a little bit of an issue. It's called metabolic bone disease. So if you can see, his tail is a little bit messed up. His hands kind of look like T-Rex arms, the way he walks. But overall, he's a happy guy. He loves to eat. There's 2 deli cups in there because I fed him both mealworms and superworms earlier today. He decimated both of them. Fantastic lizard. He spends his time outside. So during the summer months, he actually has an outdoor enclosure, which I built a few years ago. We'll do a video about that once it gets a little bit warmer. Today, finally, is a nicer day, but not quite nice enough for a lizard that comes from parts of Spain where you need it to be 25 degrees Celsius or a little bit warmer than that, likely. So that's Bob, the full-grown 5-year-old jeweled Lacerta. And that ends the reptile room portion of the tour, but we still have 6 animals to go, so let's go upstairs. The soundtrack to last week's episode, not only the barking dogs, but also the finch and the budgie that I've got. So we've got the finch, whose name is Carl. Carl is a girl. Her name is Carlin. She's fantastic. The only thing that I don't like about having this bird is that there is no more sleeping in this house whatsoever. So over my left shoulder here is where they're staying for now. That's the other soundtrack, Flutie. And then this guy here, Vanilla Ice has been around for about 3 years now. I've had her for a while. She's got a lot of life left to go. Really great to have this bird. She's the better singer of the two. Both birds, see, there you go. Both birds love to sing. I think Vanilla Ice is definitely the one that's going to make it through to the second round of American Idol. Where Carl, I don't think she's got much of a future besides maybe like parkour or whatever she's doing up there. And to round out the non-mammalian animals are the axolotls. Last week's episode was all about the axolotls. They're in a 23-gallon tank right here. Very cool, very well set up. My girlfriend takes care of them. This is, you know, the centerpiece of the living room, so these guys get a lot of attention. Fantastic to look at. This one here is Lumi, this one here is Scuttle, and these are the axolotls. These are the fur babies. They get a lot of attention, they get a lot of time, they're cuddled constantly. They're basically always with us, and they're on the most pretentious diets ever. They eat better than most people do. These are the reason that you come home every day, because they're here and they're barking at you, and this is kind of what having a home is like. If a home's really not a home without dogs, alright, bye Eris. Flutie's been with me for 8 years. He's an 8-year-old Pomeranian Chihuahua mix. He was the biggest of his litter. He's all of 12 pounds. Fantastic dog. He's just as lively as the day that we brought him home. Although he's 8, he's more like a puppy than anything else. And Eris here, she's kind of newer to the house. My girlfriend and I moved in together 2 or 3 months ago, and Eris has been here for the last 2 months. She's a great girl. She's a little bit less hyper than Flutie, but having Playmate for Flutie has really been the best. Watching dogs interact with each other is the cutest thing, and I think it's really good for them as well to have someone to roughhouse with when you're trying to work and do YouTube videos about reptiles. Eris is a mini Australian Shepherd. She was the smallest of her litter, and still she's about twice the size of Flutie, but that doesn't stop Flutie from trying to really mess with her. These dogs are also working dogs. They're not just lazy dogs. They fight each other because they have to stay up to date on their techniques for guarding the house. These are the heads of security of Wickens Wicked Reptiles. If it weren't for these guys, there wouldn't be videos every week, because this, okay. Very well-trained dogs. That's this week's episode of Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Thank you very much for coming back and watching this episode. If you liked the episode, please consider hitting subscribe. And if there's anything in the video that you said, hey, I wish that they do a video about that, put it in the comment section below. New videos every Monday, every Thursday, which means I'll see you on Thursday.